stand up, everyone. Put your hands together for her. Bigger and better. As we make welcome Barrister Dr. Elizabeth Iyamu-Ojo. Is that how you are clapping? Hey, hey. Thank you so much, ma. We're hoping to learn from you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. I have a slide somewhere. Please sit down. Firstly, let me say I have been wowed by all the speakers that have been here today. When I came in, I heard Elgale Akobome speaking, and I said, wow. And then when the commissioner started speaking, I said, wow. I'm at a loss at what to say when I finished listening to Coach Wendy. What do I say? Suffice it to say that, yes, wow, 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 like an ambulance, right? Good. So we have quickly looked for you on Instagram so that we will follow. And at this point, I'm asking myself, what am I going to say? They finished everything. Lucky me, I'm talking about the law, right? So I'm not going to bore you with a repeat of those things that they've said. I'll be saying something else entirely. I would love to have my slide up. But while we wait for it, I'll tell you this. A few days ago, about last week, I was scrolling through the pages of Instagram, and I saw something on Linda Ikeji's blog. Linda Ikeji's blog, Intentional Parents here, right? So we all know what Linda Ikeji's blog is, right? Yes. And she was saying, no, she posted a story about a young mother, a mother who took her 15-year-old daughter to a JAM CBT center to register her online. And then she used her own phone to register the daughter online. And having registered the daughter online, she got home only to find someone chatting her up, thinking it's the daughter, right? And the man was propositioning her daughter. She chatted the man up. She responded to the man and asked the man, do you know how old I am? Obviously, you should know because you have my details. You understand? I'm 15, you know? And the young man said, well, yes, I know. I have seen all your details. I'm 22. And then the lady said, the young man, supposedly young man, committed all manner of criminal offenses. Imagine invading her privacy, accessing her data online, and then having the temerity to cross the borders and then go speak to her. What is he going to tell her? Can you imagine? If you can't imagine, I can imagine. So I'll be talking about child's rights and parental responsibility in a digital world. The reason why I can imagine what the man would be telling her is sometime in 1992, that was not even the digital era, right? I had a classmate, I was in school, I had a classmate whose father was my father's friend. And he would drive from where their house is and come to my house in the guise of coming to see my father. And then when we say my father is not at home, he will come inside. And then he will make overtures to me. We had a back door upstairs. And I would say, I'm coming. And I would quietly leave the back door and climb downstairs and wait for him to drive away with his Volkswagen car. That was 1992. Imagine the manner of things that he told me back then that would make me run away from my own house, right? So, next slide, please. This is what we're talking about today. And to do justice to this, we'll be looking at the introduction, what comprises the digital world, the challenges posed by the digital world, what rights do children have, the responsibilities of the parents, and then we'll look at the way forward and conclude. Next slide, please. So I already told you about Linda Ikeji's blog. We all know about Instagram and all manner of things that we see on Instagram. I think Instagram is actually very tame. Instagram is not too bad. But have you seen Likey? Oh my God, you haven't seen it. Google it. I was also scrolling on my phone when I stumbled on Likey. And if you get on Likey, you will see a whole lot of teenagers, females, Nigerians, almost going naked on Likey. Naked, not almost, naked. When I stumbled on it, I quickly closed it so that I don't go blind. It's real. And I told myself that the day I see any teenager that I know have a Likey page, it's finished for that child. That was for me. So, but despite all these things I'm talking about as regards social media, we also had COVID-19. And when we had COVID-19, we all had to stay at home. And then Edo State, in all its wisdom, developed what is called Edo Best, right? So when Edo Best came, we had to get our children phones so that they would study online, right? So it became a thing. Prior to that time, some schools, we call them the two schools, were already doing homework assignments on the net. But by this time, it was no longer about tush. It was now about everybody. Every child needed access to a phone, right? To do assignments. At the time, I had a ward with me, so I had to provide a phone so that she would do assignments online, and we would do it together. Now, let me distinguish myself from all the other speakers. You know, all these other speakers that have been talking, they've been talking about 22-year-old, 25-year-old, 26, 14-year-old, and then me. I have waited for mine for 16 years, or I waited for mine for 16 years. And as we speak, my first is, she'll be 9 months on Monday. So, while I do not have, thank you. While I do not have these experiences, I've had words, I've had people living with me whom I've had to interact with, and see, these stories are the same. So, what we find is that although the internet has benefits for education and socialization, however, there are privacy concerns. We have issues of cyberbullying, and we have potential harm attached to surfing the internet. But let's go to the next slide. First, let's ask ourselves, what do we mean when we are talking about this digital world? We are talking about the internet or the World Wide Web. We are talking about websites and online platforms. We are talking about social media. We are talking about digital communication. We are talking about e-commerce and online shopping. My younger sister told me the other day that that's how her son picked up her phone and ordered stuff online, only for her to see the goods arriving, and she was saying, when? Because your credit card is attached. So they are already online. So the next thing you see, you will just be surprised that your teenage daughter is ordering a dildo or whatever it is. You understand? Digital entertainment, we have search engines, smart devices, and Internet of Things, cloud computing, digital. This is the digital world. You see software, you see network, you see, it's a whole lot of things. So if you think that the digital world is just going to www. Your WhatsApp is a digital world. Do you understand? It's everywhere. So, next slide, please. We have a lot to grapple with. What are the challenges posed by the digital world? We have pornography. We have online cyberbullying. We have addiction and screen time. We have fake news and misinformation. Somebody spoke about that earlier. Then we have social isolation and disconnection. You find that when children become addicted to the phone, sometimes they do not know how to communicate with others anymore. So you find that they are always, as soon as they come, they take their phone. They even do not have time to extend respect anymore to their parents or family members. They don't have time to say welcome daddy or good morning daddy. It doesn't happen. They are busy. You have privacy concerns. We have been inundated by information on the on social media. We have seen pictures of nudes of children. Sometimes these nudes do not even get on the internet by way of maybe the child doing something wrong. It might be something that maybe a child was violated or something, and then they put the video online, and you know, the internet never forgets. Whatever you put in there, that's why when we, as a lawyer, when we are doing issues that have to do with children, we remove their names, we protect them. However, people just record, and the next thing they do, they post it. So privacy concerns, they are there. But aside from those ones that are erroneously posted, we have children uploading themselves on the internet. We have like there's this school in Lagos some time ago where they traveled to Dubai, and so many things happening. So we also have cybersecurity threats. The threats are there. If we do not pay attention, we won't see it. Sometimes this is where they get initiated into cultism. They tell you, if you tell anybody, I'll come, I know your house, I'll come and kill your parents. And then the child is so scared. The child doesn't want to have the parents killed. So they join. So all these things are challenges that are posed by the digital world. Next slide, please. What rights do the children have? We have seen what these challenges are. But what rights do children really have? Despite the fact that they are children, it is worthy to note that the rights that accrue to you by virtue of Section 4, by virtue of Chapter 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, also applies to the children. The same way they say women's rights are human rights, children's rights are also human rights. So whatever rights you feel you have, those rights, the children have them too. Do you understand? Now, let's go aside from those rights that you already know you have. Let's come back to the children directly. The freedom of association and peaceful assembly is provided for in Section 6 of the Child's Rights Act 2003. Now, I would not be talking about international provisions, because the Child's Rights Act was actually domiciled in Nigeria. The United Nations Child's Rights Convention on the Rights of a Child has been domesticated in Nigeria as the Child's Rights Act 2003. And then each state has their own child's rights law. Now, they vary slightly. So the same provisions, these provisions apply to Nigeria because it's the Child's Rights Act domesticated in Nigeria. Each state has the similar provisions, but sometimes the sections might differ. But if you hold it and look through the index or the content, you will find it. Now, Section 6 talks about freedom of association and peaceful assembly. So if you as a parent has the right to associate with anybody physically, when we are talking about the digital world, we are also saying that our children have the right to associate and peacefully assemble. Do you understand? So while you are when you have those rights offline, you also have those rights online. Then Section 8 of the Child's Rights Act talks about the right to private and family life. So a child has the right to enjoy the family life and has the right to privacy. We've talked about our privacy concerns, right? The child has the right to privacy. However, some of these children are put so fast into the face of social media that they do not understand the nuances. They do not know what to do and what not to do. So we are the ones that have the responsibility to teach them what is right and what is wrong. You have the right of freedom of movement. So even if you are moving physically, on the net you also move, right? You surf pages, you go. The child has that right too. Freedom of movement, online and offline, they have it. They have a right to dignity of the child. Now, you see this right. Okay, let me finish first. There's a right to dignity of the child in section 11 of the Child's Rights Act 2003. There's a right to leisure, recreation, and cultural activities, section 12 of the Child's Rights Act. There's a right to parental care, protection, and maintenance. That is section 14 of the Child's Rights Act. And then there's a right of the child to free, compulsory, and universal primary education, etc., in section 16 of the Child's Rights Act. Now, these rights I have mentioned, section 8 and section 9 have conditions attached to them. When you look at section 8 of the Child's Rights Act that talks about the right to private and family life, by subsection 3, it now says, notwithstanding what has been said before, whatever rights the child has in this context, submit to the guidance of the parents. Do you understand? So, even if the child is saying, I have a right to my privacy, excuse me, your privacy is subject to me, your parents. It is what I call private that is private. As far as you are concerned, eventually we get there. As far as I'm concerned, my child does not have right to privacy as regards WhatsApp, or I will clone the life out of that app. As you are chatting, I will be reading it. Because, yes, for my child, I will do that. Because if you read some of these rights, the section, the way it's even stated, it says the parents can gradually, we give you the rights as it affects your best interest of the child. You understand? So the parent can graduate it. So for instance, I decide to give you a phone, a WhatsApp phone for instance. Before, when I give it to you, we have laid down rules, but I don't trust you enough. I will clone the life out of that app, and I will continue to follow what it is you are doing until you prove to me that I can trust you. If you prove to me that I can trust you, and then I can let go. I am not saying that takes the place of communication. It does not. You have to build the relationship with your child so that your child is able to communicate with you. That is sacrosanct. However, as you go along, it is until you build that, or you make me know that I can trust you. That's when I will let you have that independence. Then this freedom of movement too, it's also abrogated, as in it's limited. It's not total. So your parents can decide. As parents, you can decide you can go here, you can't go there. If you can do it physically, you can do it online. And it's necessary for you to take up the responsibility of doing these things online. It's not enough to give them the phone, hand it over to them, and then say, oh, they have right to privacy. Then, interestingly, section 19 of the Child's Rights Act talks about responsibilities of a child and parents. Do children have responsibilities? Are you serious? What kind of responsibilities do they have? Obey their parents, yes. Beautiful. So if you go to section 19 of the Child's Rights Act, it's very explicit. They have responsibility to respect their family. They have the responsibility to ensure cohesion in the family space. Your child cannot be a tyrant, as in scattering. The child has a responsibility to ensure cohesion in the family. The child has a responsibility to ensure the morality of the society. You see those people that are unlucky, those children are unlucky, they are breaching this one, section 19. They have responsibilities to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, not just their parents, not just their village, not just their society. They have a responsibility to portray Nigeria in a good light. Those ones there, they are criminals. They are breaching the Child's Rights Act. So, every child has responsibilities towards his family and society, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and other legally recognized communities, nationally and internationally. It doesn't just stop here. So if your child is constituting a nuisance in the digital world, in the digital space, that child is committing a crime. There's a need for you to let that child know. But I haven't talked about these responsibilities of the child and parents. You said this and parents. How does this really apply to the parents? Next slide, please. So, the parents are expected by Section 20 of the Child's Rights Act to provide guidance with respect to the child's responsibilities. So, as parents, you can't just say, well, I've told my child that he has responsibilities to me, he has responsibilities to my family, my extended family, to my village, and then to the state or the country, and then you let go. It is your responsibility as parents to ensure that your child does those things they need to do and do not do those things they should not be doing. It is your responsibility. You can't check it. So every parent, every guardian, every institution, person and authority responsible for the care, maintenance and upbringing, education, whatever of a child has this responsibility. That's why the state stays in parents per tribe. The state is in local parentis to children. So if as a parent you're not doing the right thing with your child, you're not training your child right, the state can actually take your child from you. Yes, we know these things happen in foreign countries, but it's in our laws. So it can also be done here at any point in time. You understand? So as parents, there is a necessity for us to fulfill our responsibilities. But how do we do that? Let's go to the next slide. How do we do that? I was talking about cloning my child's phone the other time. Some of you were laughing. There's a need for us to use parental control software. I was on Bing a few days ago, I think like about a week back, and I don't know what helped me, what made me check. And I found under the setting, I found parental control. You understand? So there was a day I was trying to generate an image on Bing. And when I was generating the image, I just said to generate an image of a baby about to fall off a bed and the mother rushing to catch the baby. Bing refused to generate that picture for me. I did not know that it was my parental controls that had been set. I tried and tried. I was saying, what is weird about this? I couldn't find it. So at the end of the day, I realized that Bing you can set your Google to have parental control. You can regularly check devices. You can establish clear rules and expectations. Coach Wendy mentioned about that. Establish it. If this happens, this is what will happen. It doesn't need to be flogging. But when you set clear boundaries, the children will know exactly what to do. There's also need to open communication channels. You also need to educate yourself on the app. There's so many trainings on Instagram. There's so many. I ran a training recently, last week, about 2 weeks back, I ran a training. I have done trainings where I teach children how to do Canva or use animation. And when I say I want to do this training, I put it on my WhatsApp status. Some parents are putting their children and saying, go and learn animation. Whatever it is, even cartoons that your children watch, don't let go. Watch the cartoons with them. I had a ward living with me at a point, and while she was with me, I do, how many of you know Plotagon animation? 3D animation. So I was training on, I do those, during COVID-19, I had time, so I was doing those animations. I have an Instagram page on animations. And so when she was staying with me, I felt I should teach her these things. And I taught her. On Plotagon, you only have a peck as a kiss. That's all. And then this girl created an animation. I was happy she was learning. And I stumbled on the animation she created. And then it went, Jesus. And I said, really? Why? And it occurred to me that she was trying to simulate a French kiss. But she couldn't find a French kiss. So it went like that. And then the words that followed, oh my God. Make me feel like a woman was the cheapest of the words. Please, even if it's Cocomelon, watch it first before you let them watch it. So educate yourselves on apps and platforms. Teach online safety. In my service, we have been taught from the onset that if you are online and somebody says I'm online and I'm 14 years, it doesn't mean the person is actually 14 years. So teach them from the get-go that they should only accept persons they know physically. Otherwise, they may be endangering themselves. Set up parental alerts. If they go to this page, bam, you will know. Establish digital contracts. Is there. Just tell them, if you do this, you will not do, this is what will happen. There is a need for them to know. Now, if you look at this, yes, lead by example. A lot of times people come to my house and they wonder why I'm watching Z World. And I say, yes, Z World is the safest I've ever seen. The man and the woman, they will get married on their wedding night. They will wear the wedding gown and everything. They will sleep on the bed. Nothing will happen. You will not see them, no kiss. Even music channels, I don't allow anybody watch in my house. Music channels, they are the worst. Home videos, our African home videos. You see, under the rights in section 20, I actually think that the state government should legislate on it and do something about these things. Because if we say we have a right to train our children, provide guidance, we can also tell these industries that what they are showing is absolute rubbish. I can't imagine I'm watching an African movie, culture, and then what they are showing there is they are on the, no. So please, lead by example. Encourage safe online friendships and cultivate a community of friends with like minds. I have a friend that I have her children's phone. She has 5 children. Of 5 children, it's only the middle one that has access to a phone that uses that one that she has access to. I watch him online. I see what he posts. If he posts something wrong, I can alert her and say, see what your child is doing online. That's what I mean when I say cultivate a community of friends with like minds. Thank you for listening.